Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Hopefully, everybody's having a fantastic day. Happy belated Mother's Day to the mothers out there. Hope all of you had a great day. Irina, Kara, thank you very much for being such an amazing moms and being here with us today. So, a couple of things. If you haven't seen us before, we are Learn Group. So, we're here to help you achieve success through learning different aspects. We have here Irina. She's a manifestation coach. She's going to help you with manifesting your wishes. We have Kara, who's a high performance coach, who's going to actually teach you how to implement the brain game because brain is always playing with us. So she will help you with that. And with me, I'm your digital marketer. So if you're looking for digital marketing strategy or don't know how to get started for your business, I'm your guy. So, a couple of things that I would like to mention today. One is on the 30th, we have a great event. Irina is putting an event together. So, Irina will be sharing with us a little bit later towards the end what her event is all about. So, I suggest you to take advantage, sign up, and go for it. But on the meantime, we have an amazing topic today. We have emotional intelligence. We all need to learn about that. I was just talking to them right before we got started that emotional intelligence is what we do with ourselves when people tell us things that we may not like to hear, but how we handle it, how we correct that. And in my case, how to sugarcoat things. So I'll be learning a little bit more about that in a second. So, Kara, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Actually, that's me. It's me
I'm gonna go
starting.
right. I'm gonna pass it up.
There you go.
So, emotional intelligence, it's interesting because a lot of people are not aware about it. A lot of people heard about IQ and how intellect is important. And a lot of people in our society, because that's how we were trained, just to hide our emotions. We wouldn't just recognize them at all, we would just shove them somewhere inside. And the point is, the more we shove inside, the more painful it becomes for us because we are growing up and navigating the life without actually recognizing those emotions and actually express and knowing how to handle them. And emotional intelligence is the self-awareness of our own emotions as well as awareness of the emotions of others. How well we can train ourselves in order, rather than reacting, reflecting at everything what's been said to us, right? Knowing how to make that pause, knowing how to think before we speak, right? Because it's also the skill. And also understanding other people, come more from compassion, come more from accepting, not be judgmental and criticizing others, right? Because understanding that we are all humans and we are all experiencing all this spectrum of emotions, and be more gentle to others as well as to ourselves, because it's such an important and crucial skill. And I remember being a child. For me, obviously, I was raised in a very like tough environment. Raised in Ukraine, and it was all about you can handle it. Everything what happens, it's like you can handle it. I don't remember much of like really coming and talking and expressing myself. I have very very loving parents. However, this was not something that we were aware of, and it's still like so many years later, still a lot of people are functioning on the same level of awareness where they think that it's the weakness actually to express your emotions, where sometimes you witness parents are saying to their child, stop crying, don't be such a crybaby, just go into your room, deal with that, right? And obviously, as we are trained this way as babies and little children, that's exactly what gets into our subconscious, and that's exactly how we operate in this world. So we are not really expressing ourselves, we are hiding our emotions, and we don't even know how to deal with these emotions. But nowadays it comes more and more handy that it's great to understand the emotions, and it's great to know how to better navigate our life with these emotions. What do you think, Kara?
Oh my God, yes, 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 and yes. What came up for me specifically, so parenting, case in point, right? My little tiny humans come to say goodbye. And what I have learned is, in my experience, is the hardest part of being a parent is 100% the same hardest part that it is to be a leader, and that's handling your own self. Like, we tell kids, calm down, control yourself, go to your room, we expect them to have better control than many of the adults that I know.
Yes.
But it starts with we can't control other people. We got to learn to control ourselves and regulate this so that we can do stuff with other people. Yup.
So true. Johnny, what about you? What's coming up for you?
With me is, to me, is interesting because same thing. I grew up in another country. I was born in Ecuador. Although I came here to the U.S. when I was 13, there was a lot of, you're a man, you don't cry. You are supposed to handle everything on your own, just pretty much like on your case. So coming here to the United States to me was a shock, because here, one, I was in a military school in Ecuador, and then when I came here, because I really, really wanted to be in the military, I joined the General RTC right away. And in Ecuador, and I thought like, oh, it's gonna be exactly the same. In Ecuador, if a cadet or somebody who's below your rank does not listen to you, you're 100% allowed to beat him up. And when I say beat him up, with anything you have to clear close to you. No, anything. You find a stick, you find a rock. We used to carry our ribbons that had a bullet at the end, so we will hit the cadets with it in the head. And when I came here, it's like, you cannot even raise the voice to the cadets. You got to use your head. I'm like, what? Like, to hit them? Like, which they're not listening. So that's where my emotional intelligence started kicking in. So it's very, very important for us to understand that part. Emotional intelligence is everything we do to ourselves. And later on, I'm a single dad. As a single dad, I'm like, I'm more cautious on how I say things and what do I say. So it is a great tool to have.
Thank you. So true. So true. But I was wondering, in terms of emotional intelligence, when was the first time, if you recall, you dealt with it on the conscious level, right? Because we are just like running through our life without thinking much, right? So it's more about, like I said, a lot of people are hiding their emotions. And some people just find the focus in something in order not to deal with these emotions. For instance, some people are so clever at their job, at the career, they're like going right up the ladder, right? Kara, you're going to add on that. But when it comes to real life, they are so helpless because they don't even know how to navigate it. And it's funny, they're not going to speak back to the boss. But when it comes to real life, it's like, they are just, they have to come, these emotions that they are holding, they have to come out somehow, right? They have to come out. So it comes out on people, on innocent people who are not even a part of it, right? But it's just because we were never trained how to deal with that. Kara, what can you say about it?
Okay, so what that brings up for me, I used to do a training built entirely around road rage Goofy. Have you ever watched Goofy? Have you ever watched this cartoon?
No.
Oh my gosh. It explains emotional intelligence so beautifully. So here comes our favorite Goofy, and he's so sweet, and he's walking out to his car getting ready to go to work, and he sees an ant, and he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to almost step on you. And the ant's like, I can't believe you. And he's like, my bad, man. And he goes out to his car, then he gets in his car, and he's like, because he's in his own little space and he is the god of his little container, and suddenly he's driving around the road all crazy. It's hilarious. But that's most of us, right? Genuinely, we are the heroes of our own story. We want to do the best. To succeed in this life, we know to do our best, it's going to require being able to have a relationship with other people. That's just part of life. Business is exactly the same way. But we get caught in our own little head, in our own little power space, and then we're crazed and we are blowing people off the road and splashing water on folks and creating a whole bunches of messes that we're not even paying attention to because we're so focused in our own little space. And so emotional intelligence literally just takes the blinders off. So as you're in your car, you're like, oh, sorry, I'm also not going to hit you, and I'm not going to, and you're aware of the other people in the universe. You're allowed to be the center of your own universe as long as you remember we're not the center of the universe.
So true.
But it's kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
John, what would you add, Johnny, from your experience?
From my experience is one, to be patient with yourself, because at the beginning when you actually become conscious that you have to build that side of emotional intelligence and you're so used to getting angry for anything, it takes a lot. So be patient, because I remember at the beginning I used to, like, after I blew up, I'm like, I thought I was getting better and it's not happening. Like, what's wrong with you, John? And I used to be really harsh on myself. So be patient. It's gonna take time. The other thing that I would add on is that it's gonna pay off tremendously. Those little changes that you make will pay off.
So true. Thank you for sharing. It's so true. Yes, Kara.
Can I say something about that?
Of course.
Because it's so true. One of the ways that I help people understand why emotional importance matters, especially in the workplace, like, you can get wanting to be emotionally intelligent, taking care of your children, taking care of your spouse, taking care of your friends, because those are people you genuinely care about, and you genuinely care about that relationship. That's not always necessarily true when you're a boss of somebody. You may or may not like them. You may or may not have hired them, but you are still responsible for that relationship, right? And it's the literal emotional intelligence is the difference between managing and leadership. If you want your time and your energy back, get good at emotional intelligence, because otherwise you have to manage people. You have to be on top of them, and you have to be on top of you. And it's like this, like seagull managers, right? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it's awful. Like, you waste so much energy and your team hates it. Nobody is winning. Whereas you get so much back by simply becoming aware of your own emotions and allowing the grace and space for that, like Johnny said, and being able to then give that so other people can do things, and you don't have to manage them, you support them. And suddenly you have time and energy, and you're no longer trying to control the rest of the world because there's just not enough duct tape on the planet. But you do have total control over yourself. And when you stop wasting energy trying to control all of this and you bring it back here, there's so much that you can do.
Yep. There's one thing that I would love to add there, because you mentioned one thing that is really important. And when you're dealing with the people that you love, your close ones, your friends, your family, yeah, you tend to be a little more careful and choose your words a little better. Sometimes, like you mentioned, when you're working with other people, you don't. And that is one of the biggest things that I took from when I was in the army here, that they taught me this, and it's like in my brain branded. People don't know how much you care until you show them that you care.
So true.
And believe it or not, that little bit of switch on my mindset has been an amazing wealth for my life. Because when you're genuine, yeah, absolutely. People don't know how much you care until you show them how much you care. And People that I have not seen in years, have come up to me and told me, John, remember that day? Which most of the time I don't remember. My day was horrible. You came up to me, and you were the only one who was not upset because of the mess that I made or whatever that happened. And you actually were compassionate. And I'm like, I don't remember it, but they sure do. They sure do.
Absolutely. You know what? I just recalled one incident at my job. Not one incident. Okay. It was like back 19 years ago when I just got the job. I was so thrilled. I'm always like so enthusiastic walking into this work. And I had the boss that was very micromanagement type. And he was actually like literally made my life miserable there, as much as I try to do everything, because I feel that emotional intelligence even more important for people who have these titles. Why? Because they create that environment inside. Because if they are gonna make everybody else miserable just for their goals to hit the company goals without actually not paying attention at people's emotions and feelings and everything else, guess what? And that's what happened in our department. In our department, the rotation rate of people who were coming and leaving because nobody wanted to work under him. And I remember there was another girl and she was there like for a year, and I'm like, how could you even last with that type of management? And it was really really tough because I had to like check in before I'm leaving and check out when I'm coming and what am I gonna work at. And sometimes when the deadlines were coming, he would be like calling me on my extension, when do I get my report, when do I get my report? And people don't realize the more they put pressure on you, you're not gonna make anything better but rather worse, because that was the time when I started to make more mistakes because I was like pressured with the time. I was more nervous. And that's what really, I think the pinnacle moment was when he was rushing me for that report, and then it took him 3 days to review that. And with me, these things don't roll well. I could be very good and very sweet, but when it comes to something like that, I got really offended. I was thinking to myself, what was the point to pressure and, like put all that, you know, that negativity on me? Then you don't even look at the report for 3 days. To make a long story short, we didn't get along for a long time. So, and at that time, I was pregnant and he wasn't aware about it. But, my ultimate goal was just to quit the job. And I did. And he was like shocked. I guess he probably thought that I would just tolerate that kind of attitude. But sometimes people either they are not aware, they don't realize, or they're just so focused on company goals that they don't even look how they treat their employees. But I made sure I went to HR department and I made sure I make it very clear why I was leaving. Because the point is, it's the companies have to take care of each employee, not only about the top ranking people, because each one contributes to the success. So that was the story. And I was like, how could the person even have this role? And nowadays, Kara, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Nowadays, it's such a big deal. All these executives, they do go through mentorship, they do go through coaching. Everybody gets training because they understand that the success of the company is based on the people who are working. And the better relationship you have with people, the more emotional intelligence you carry within yourself, the better the company is going to be.
Oh yeah. It's become such a standard. I mean, Forbes has put out, I don't even know how many articles about how EQ is actually more important than IQ. Like, it's great that you're smart, but so's an AI. You know what AI can't do? Interpersonal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So it's huge. When I run into a CEO now who doesn't, like, I was literally on a call just a couple of days ago with the guy, and he was like, I'm super analytical. None of that matters at all to me. I'm pretty sure we have a good culture here. All I could think was, I guarantee it's not as good as you think it is, because all you're looking at is financial numbers. Fun fact, if you don't care how your people work, then they don't care either.
So
And
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell you, you should care about your people. I was like, you're right. This is not a thanks so much for your time. Have a great day. Because there's enough leaders out there who are like, yes, I would love to work less hard. I would love to trust my team. I would love to just be happy going into work every day. And I'm like, hey, come this way. Let's talk about emotional intelligence and how your life could be so much better. But the ones who are like, well, I just don't care about any of that. I don't know how to tell you that caring about your fellow man, especially if you're in business and you're trying to sell them things, is important. When you figure out that that is real life, I'll be here.
that's so true. Sometimes it takes people a few years until they finally ready for that, right? Because it all comes from how open-minded people are to receive that kind of critique and act on it, do something about it, make themselves better.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about, the emotional intelligence, because people can receive the critique, but they may not do anything about it because of their ego. They're in their head, what they're doing is so right that it's like, why did I even give you a suggestion? Because they're not going to change it. They're happy where they're at. One of the people that I've actually seen and heard on several interviews talk about that his job is to take care of the employees because the employees will take care of the customers, is Sir Richard Charles Nicholas Branson, the owner of Virgin Mobile. He talks about every few videos that I've seen. He talks about the importance of taking care of his employees. He's like, if I take good care of my employees, they will take care of the customers. He understands that people have a life and they have so many emotions happening. And I love the way that Carol always puts it, or meat suit is full of chemistry.
The soup gets spicy.
No, that's so true. And just think about it, like how many people do we encounter who really is willing to sit down with us and listen to our, problems or issues. Just even remember from the childhood, right? It was never like, okay, I'm sobbing. Nobody tells me, like, come over, tell me what's wrong, right? And I think it's not because my parents were bad parents. They are amazing parents. They're very loving parents, but even till these days, right, they help me to raise my kids and everything. But the point is just because they are not aware about it. They think it's bad to actually pay attention and show, because the idea is the more attention you're gonna pay, the more the child is gonna cry and the more they're gonna throw the tantrums. But the point is the child just wants to be heard. And that's what happened with adults as well. Like I said, we're just running through life and all we have just responsibilities. Okay, we should do this, A, B, C, D. Nobody is asking us, what can I do for you, right? And sometimes people are just, like I said, so overwhelmed with their own emotions that it's going to eat them from inside. And that's where the health deteriorates. That's where all these diseases are coming from, because stress is actually the cause for the diseases.
Mhm.
And then it's just like people just want to be heard. They want for somebody just to understand them. And even if we can't do anything to help, just listening, by listening, it gives so much freedom and so much, clarity for them and just calms them down. Kara.
I love that so much. I would say that I would go on to the controversial opinion that people find more connection and importance in being understood than being agreed with. Most people don't need you to agree with them. They simply want to know that you understand where they're coming from. And that's powerful. I mean, that's literally like manager to leader, right? Like I can do all the things to make you do all the things, but this is the spot that I have made for myself as a leader. I can show you how to do this. I can support you. I can ask you. I can hear your ideas. And if it's a good one, I can let you do it. and I can just continue on because you're going to continue on, and we all go.
Yes. uh, if I may add this, on a sales training, I remember taking this class, and it's the part that we all forget once we start working with other people, because we're so caught up as like, okay, I gotta make sure that I hit my numbers. I gotta make sure, and I said we all forget, because I think it has happened to all of us. We forget for a second. We're only humans. We're bound to make mistakes, but we forget that people react solely on one radio station, WIFM. What's in it for me? That is
Yeah.
the only radio station that people react to. And if you actually, like Kara mentioned, if you're a good leader, you listen to what their needs are, what their endeavors, dreams, goals. If you're a good leader and help them reach those goals, you already have somebody who's going to be solid for you for the rest of your life.
And I think it's also to feel other people, right? Especially at the workplace, for the manager, for like CEO, whoever. If you see that the person's performance dropped, rather than criticizing and asking where are the numbers, start thinking and asking what is wrong with the person. Listen to hear, because there must be something. Maybe something is going on with their health, or something is going on in their family, something that distracted them from being that productive, right, employee, and just turn that switch off. So rather than criticizing, because when we criticize people, we are not gonna get something positive out of it. Just listen, find the time to listen and talk, to say, listen, tell me about yourself. Is something going on? Is something bothering you? And obviously this is the skill. And especially to have the other person to open up to you and being able to freely talk and express themselves. I think this is like the most important thing that anybody could have, right? One of the most important skills. It's not even the intellect. It's the ability to communicate. It's the ability to connect with people. It's the ability to understand them on the emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yes, all of that, yes. And it takes time. You're not going to, if you are not already super emotionally intelligent, that's fine. You already have tons of skills in that department. It's buildable, right? Every human on this planet has these skills. We just build on them, right? But it takes time. And if you're hearing from your friends, your team, whoever, the people, the relationships in your world, if you get a lot of, how are you? And you genuinely want to know, and they were like, oh, I'm fine. I'm freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional, but I'm just going to say I'm fine.
And if I could bring something into what you just said, a lot of people are wired that way. Like, I was talking to another friend of mine who's a guy, and he's also open-minded like me, where we're able to talk about anything. Every place that you go, they train you. Your life may be falling apart, but they train you to say, I'm great, I'm really good. And they train you that saying anything different than that is gonna bring you shame. But also, you have to know who you tell it to. You're not gonna be opening a newspaper and telling, hey, everything, all this is wrong in my life. But we are trained to do that. That's why we created this, because we want a safe space. We want somewhere that people can actually connect and be able to safely say what's going on, and see if we can go ahead and help them, guide them to where they need to be.
So true. You know what? I also wanted to add, as being a manifestation coach, how does the law of attraction applies to all of that? Because we all know that emotional intelligence, it's about self-awareness of our emotions and awareness of the emotions of others and how we are dealing with that. But law of attraction goes even beyond that. So if you look at the word of emotion, it's just energy plus motion. So if I tell you Do not think about the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and this is the most romantic place to take the pictures. What is in your mind?
Eiffel Tower.
You already imagined that, right? So the point is that we are triggered with our emotions, right? So emotions is something that really direct our energy. So we have to be really, really conscious where what kind of emotions we are using, because what we, likes attract likes. So whatever we are gonna focus our emotions on, that's exactly what we are going to be attracting to ourselves. That's exactly what we are going to be creating. So that's why it's so important, like some people are saying, why is it always that positivity? Why everywhere you go it's like, think great, have a beautiful day, and some people just get sick to their stomach about it, but they don't understand the connection, because there is something behind just the words, because it's all about our mindset. What we are focusing on, we are amplifying. So just think about it, how important it is. And it's great to identify, because if we are anxious or nervous, we know that this emotion was caused by what? But what we were thinking about, right? Because if we are thinking pleasant thoughts, we feel great, right? We want to act differently, as opposed to when we think of negative emotions. Negative thoughts, because negative thoughts make us constrictive. It gives us all this amplitude of different colors of different emotions. And some people don't even know how to distinguish different emotions. For them, anger and frustration is the same. But guys, it's so totally different. So, my invitation for all of you, just try to experiment with your emotions and try to identify what exactly anger is for you, what exactly frustration is for you, what is excitement for you. Just start observing yourself and understand more what are your emotions, label them correctly, and then watch them, how you could connect them to your thoughts and how to repattern your thoughts in order to generate better feelings in your life.
Yes. So I have a practical tool on that.
Yes,
So a
please.
little fuzzy brain science here for you, little Kara method brain science. So speaking of manifestation, right? So there are three standard ways that everybody kind of knows. There's visualization, there's affirmations, and then there's habit building, right? Fun fact, that follows your brain path. So first you have a feeling. Something comes in and it strikes an emotion. Well, our feelings are visual. So if you are feeling something, but it's like something doesn't feel quite right, and all you can keep singing is gazpacho soup, there's a connection there. So it's visual first. So to address your feelings, to manifest something, you start with a visualization. I want this to be the visual, this that connects to this feeling. And then you can go into the logic space and get those affirmations. I'm going to be happy and healthy. I'm going to be happy and healthy, right? And then you go do the habits that make you happy and healthy. So you visualize you happy and healthy, you speak it out loud, and then go do it and watch it just show up in your life.
Yep. So true. And you know what? I also wanted to give practical tool, like when people are overwhelmed with the emotions, it's a very good practice to come home. And let's say if there is nobody you could really talk to, journaling is the powerful tool. Just sit down and start writing out what exactly you felt today and why you felt that way. Because imagine, the more you are gonna talk to that journal, the more you're gonna write, the more thoughts are gonna come, because we are connected to the source. We are gonna generate more and more feelings, and you're gonna feel so much different. Start paying attention and notice how you felt before you started to journalize, right? Because you were so charged up through the day, and how you feel once you put all your emotions and feeling into the paper. It's going to be a great shift of energy. And I just also want to invite you to do that exercise as well. Johnny, any practical tool?
For that one, no, I actually learned two new tools. So thank you.
You know what? I have another one. It's called Notice What You're Noticing. And this is exactly what I'm teaching at my workshop. And I have this results formula that I'll share if anybody shows up. But the tool notice what you're noticing is just actually notice our feelings and then pause, take a deep breath, and think, why am I feeling this way? Because when we start doing it consciously, believe it or not, we are going to produce different results because we are going to be more empowered. And like Kara mentioned, with emotional intelligence, we will be able to control how we are reacting, how we are feeling. Because remember, feeling is always a choice. There is nothing outside of us that's going to dictate to be happy. Once we accept and saying, I would like to be happy, I choose to be happy, we are the ones in control of all our emotions.
Mm-hmm. And that is so important to mention. To mention that life is a choice. It's a choice. Everything, no matter if you're talking about work, marriage, because they all go through the same stages. And that's one thing that sometimes, until somebody doesn't make you notice it, you don't know it. Like when you meet somebody, you're like, oh my God, this person is so amazing, da 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 da. And then you're like, oh, this is great. And now we're going to go out and this and this and this. Same thing is with life. It's going to get to a point that all those beginning emotions have worn off. And then you start seeing, oh my God, he keeps leaving the seat up and the socks are there. And you start noticing all the things that at the beginning, they were still there. You just didn't notice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because you were not aware of that. You didn't pay attention. What we focus on, that's what we see, right?
Yes. So what happens is that at that point, you have to make a choice. Do I keep going? Do I leave this? And that's how life should be. You know, when you were mentioning about the everything that you focus on is what you attract, and also Kara was mentioning whatever your essence is what you attract. Both of them are 100% spot on. I have a friend of mine that I know him since he was like, he's the young brother from one of my good friends, so he must have been maybe 12, 13 when I met him for the first time. And my friend and I, we were already on our 20s. And I've seen this kid grow up, get in trouble, like really getting a lot of trouble. And then from there on, one day, making the conscious decision to say, you know, this is it. I'm not making any more mistakes. And if I make him, it's because I did it unconsciously, not like he did it before. He was conscious that what he was doing, it was wrong. He still did it anyways. And nowadays, his life is so good. Like everybody that has shown up in his life, they're people like him. They have made a decision, they're not going back. So be aware that those little changes that you start making in your life, they're gonna bring positive in your life. They will bring positive. You just have to get with the habits.
That's so good, Johnny. So good because remember, everything is a choice, like you said. Everything is a choice, and it doesn't matter your past. It doesn't matter who you were, how you showed up, because our self-image we could always update it, up level it, and being a completely different person of increase. And that's what the beauty of this work is. The more we work on ourselves, the better we become, and our life results actually reflect exactly our inner being. Kara, last
Yes.
words?
I think you guys pretty much covered it with that. Yeah. We are not defined by our past or our choices, because we can make new choices and create a new path forward anytime we want. So you may have done all of the things you didn't want to have happen, and you can still make a different choice tomorrow. They shape us. They don't define us.
Mm-hmm.
So true. And you know what? Anything that we have in our life, any situation or circumstances, again, Law of attraction, be attracted to ourselves. A lot of times we are in denial and saying, crap, it can't be. But that's true. And the
Radical
more you
ownership.
think about it, the more you analyze, right? The more you're conscious about it, the more you understand, especially once you start like dissecting and asking, why was this situation given me? Why this person came into my life? I want to know why. And the more we ask this kind of questions, the more curiosity we have, then we start getting the answers.
Mm-hmm. That is true. So conclusion for today, I think it's watch your habits, watch what you're thinking. What else would you like to add, Kara?
There's a quote there, right? So watch your thoughts before they become your words. Watch your words for they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your path, and your path becomes your life.
There
So
you go.
true.
The
And
best conclusion.
emotional intelligence, right? We cannot live without
Watch
it.
those thoughts.
Yes, watch our thoughts and be very gentle with yourselves and others.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. So, anything else you would like to add before we say goodbye?
Just people start paying attention, right? Pay attention to the emotions. Don't just ignore them because they are here for the reasons. We are human beings and we are experience all the emotions. There are no perfect people who just always happy. I mean, I might look like one, but I do experience all the emotions. But the point is, it's all okay. It's normal. Just accept these emotions. Any emotions that we have, it's great to accept, to process them as well. And then just, come out of it a better person.
Mm-hmm. True. Alrighty. So, with that said, thank you everyone for watching. Till next Monday. So, hope to see you all. Goodbye.